which villain should I do for this intro? I mean, I have 3 choices this time rather than just one. I have the New Goblin, Venom, and the Sandman. I can't decide on just one. You know what? Maybe I'll do all 3. No. All 3 in one video. That may be a little bit, convoluted. Hello ladies and gentlemen and movie lovers of all kind, and welcome back to another Super Series Tuesday, and for today we will be covering the 3rd and final film in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, titled Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 was released in 2007, was once again directed by Sam Raimi, and this time around stars Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, James Franco, and Topher Grace. And the story for this time around, guys, is that it seems like it's a little bit of a time jump from the last movie. Now we have that divide between Harry and Peter because Harry knows a secret. Peter and Mary Jane have been dating for a long time, and Peter is getting ready to propose. Life is going on until a meteor strikes down, attaches itself to Spider-Man, and we get the black symbiote suit, and of course, Harry has his turn as the New Goblin, and the Sandman comes to town. So guys, to kick off the positives for this movie, it is going to be the action sequences. The action sequences in this, again, I do honestly believe are stepped up a little bit from the previous one. Nothing quite matches the subway scene, but the action sequences, there are still very many of them in this, and they are still extremely entertaining. They're very polished, they're super fun to watch, and just overall, something I really love about this whole trilogy, but this movie in particular, I think it's the one half-decent thing that having multiple villains goes for, is you really do see the varying fighting styles and how Spider-Man kind of has to adjust to his enemies. I mean, you have the New Goblin, which is like fighting the Green Goblin again, but he has much faster, much better tech. You have the Sandman, which, I mean, the dude's made of sand. He can make weapons out of his hands, he can turn into this giant sand monster. The fighting styles really do vary, and then you get to Venom, which is like fighting another Spider-Man, just way stronger and way more lethal, and is willing to kill. Not even willing, wants to kill. Next is the fact that I truthfully and honestly think that the first act of this movie is actually really solid. If they would have kept it at that, you know, you have Harry trying to come at him as the New Goblin, and then Harry's storyline, which I won't spoil, I guess, if you guys don't already know, and then the Sandman. If you just had the Sandman as the villain primarily, you had Spider-Man dealing with his issues with Mary Jane and things like that, I feel like that alone was enough that could have kind of carried this movie and maybe ended with Venom. Like I always said, I really do feel like this movie should have ended, and we should have got the 4th one with Venom as the main villain. It should have been that time when Topher Grace gets covered in the symbiote and then lunges at the camera. Should have been the end of the movie right there. Would have been perfect, not too overstuffed. Would have been really good to lead into a 4th and final fantastic film. Didn't get it. Regardless, the first act in this movie is solid enough, and it shows that this movie at one point did have a lot of potential. And next is the fact that I truthfully believe that this is the most emotional of the Spider-Man movies. I believe that everyone gives their most emotional performances to date. You have the dynamic between Peter and Mary Jane, you have Peter and Aunt May, you have Harry and Peter, how they kind of like have this love-hate relationship sort of going for them now. There's a lot of really emotional stuff in this, even when you hit the kind of emo Peter stuff. That kind of meh, but after he's not emo Peter anymore, you get back to that really emotionally heavy stuff, and there's a lot of really good emotional moments to this that kind of do somewhat make it feel like a decent finale. But that's pretty much it for the positives, and this is kind of the middle ground, but not really. It's just what I want to say, honestly, that made me realize, like, I feel like at this point of the movie, it segues into the just meh, and it hits a steady decline, and for me, it's when the symbiote suit, the black Spider-Man suit, comes into play. As soon as he gets that black suit, the movie just hits a downhill and just kind of steadily declines. A little bit of an up at the end, because I find the end action scene, the whole kind of final fight, is entertaining stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much a steady decline at that point, which really sucks, because as a kid, I was so excited to see the Black Spider-Man suit. I loved the 1996 show, and that is my favorite episodes, is the Venom saga, the whole thing with the Black Spider-Man suit. I thought that stuff was spectacular. But no, we don't get any of that. We get weird emo Peter, and that's actually my first big negative. Why do that? Why make this weird emo Peter, his hair like across his face, and he's running around the street and banging at girls and twirling and making weird noises, and he looks like an idiot. He's walking like an idiot, talking like an idiot. It annoys me because the symbiote is supposed to heighten aggressiveness, and that's shown way better in a kid's cartoon from the 90s, when he gets all aggressive and he starts getting mad at people and going over the top and almost killing people. That's what I wanted to see, not him going through the street with jazz music playing and snapping his fingers and whistling at girls and like, why? That was a horrible decision. That was so stupid, so dumb. It's the thing that angers me the most about this movie, is that something so simple They just wanted to make it this big joke. And sure enough, they succeeded on making it a big joke. Next thing is almost kind of spoiler territory, but again, this movie is over a decade old now. I really do feel like Sandman should not have had a personal connection to Peter Parker. Once, in the first movie, that's fine. It's understandable. Norman Osborn, justified. Dr. Otto Octavius in the second one, justified. Harry Osborn in this one, justified. Eddie Brock, kind of justified. I feel justified because that's the way it is in the comics. But the Sandman, no way did he need a personal connection to Peter Parker and Spider-Man in this one. You made every single villain in this entire trilogy have a personal connection to Peter Parker. Even when I was a little kid, when this movie came out, I was 9 years old, I felt then that was just really dumb. I don't know, maybe I don't read enough comics, maybe that's actually how it goes, but for me, even when I was a kid, I thought that was stupid. I was like, so why does he have to be with Spider-Man? Why does that have to, I just never understood why that was a decision that had to be made. And next is just Topher Grace overall in this movie. If you've seen Eddie Brock, again, in the cartoons, he's just kind of a buff guy already, and then he spends months just getting absolutely jacked, and then he becomes Venom, and he's not this snarky little, hey, tiger, and, doing all these stupid sayings, and if you know what I'm talking about, my spider senses are tingling, shut up! Such a horrible casting choice. That's why I'm excited for the new Venom. Tom Hardy can be a badass. He's already pretty buff. You've seen him as Bane. You know he can be menacing. He was a good pick for Venom. Topher Grace, no. Venom in general is awful to me in this movie. He's not supposed to have the webbing on him. He's supposed to have the pure black suit, big white kind of spider-looking thing on him, jacked, ripped to the nines, and menacing as hell, and his one goal is to humiliate and then ultimately kill Spider-Man. That was not Topher Grace. Hated him in this movie. Not necessarily the guy's a bad actor, but as Eddie Brock in Venom, nope. And lastly, I guess technically, because I will explain myself in a brief second, but the music in the Harry and Peter fight at the end, Why for the whole second half of this movie did they decide to just go with this whole kind of jazz undertone? Every scene has jazz playing in it, okay? I get, at a point, Mary Jane works at a jazz bar, but every scene has jazz in it. This, to me, could have been a really emotional fight. It could have been really, really good, something special, something that kind of saved the whole last act, last half of this movie, but instead, no, they have this weird kind of jazz, this dun, 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 dun. And these guys who are supposed to be brothers that grew up together, that are supposed to love each other, and now they hate each other because of something that was just really a big misunderstanding. They're trying to kill each other. They're literally trying to kill each other. And it's dun, 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 dun. Now I know all those negatives were very nitpicky. That's because overall, my whole convoluted joke, the whole movie is a convoluted mess. I don't know whose idea it was to cram 3 villains into one movie, and I don't know why history repeated itself with The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I have no idea why they decided to cram all these villains into one movie, cram all these plot lines. You have Harry and Mary Jane, you have Peter and Mary Jane, you have Mary Jane's career, you have Harry and Peter, another type of Harry and Peter, and then back to the old type of Harry and Peter, Harry and Aunt May, Peter and Aunt May, Peter and Eddie Brock, Peter and the Daily Bugle, Peter as Spider-Man, Peter as the Black Suit Spider-Man, Emo Peter. You have so many different plot lines going on at once here, and they're all crammed and just rammed right into one movie that it was this could have been enough material to cover a whole new trilogy. But that's what it is, guys. It is what it is. It's a convoluted mess. I got a little more in detail with it to give you guys kind of more in-depth reasons as to why this movie bugs me. But regardless, after all that being said, I seriously do still wish there was a sequel to this movie. I really do. Ever since I was a little kid and there was fake fan art posters of Scorpion as the villain for Spider-Man 4, I really, truthfully, honestly do wish that we got a Spider-Man 4 from Sam Raimi. I would have preferred it to The Amazing Spider-Man 1, 2, and probably even Spider-Man Homecoming, if I'm being honest. Not to say that all those movies are bad, but for me, this is the most Spider-Man series. Even though he has the webs coming out of his hand and not web shooters, it's just the most Spider-Man series to me. It's not worried about setting up the Sinister Six and other spin-offs and making a universe. It's not worried about attaching itself to the already established universe and being in the Avengers. It's just Spider-Man. Straight up Spider-Man. I would have loved to have seen them and go, okay, you know what, Spider-Man 3 been messed up. Studio interference and stuff, because there's even stuff coming out about this movie now. I would have preferred to see Spider-Man 4 made by Sam Raimi, have him just kind of make his own movie again, and we would have got a fantastic movie. Overall, guys, although I did bash this movie pretty hard, I still watch it now, and I still enjoy it. It is okay. So for that reason, I'm going to be giving Spider-Man 3 a 6.5 out of 10. So guys, if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know. Do you think Spider-Man 3 was a major letdown, or are you kind of on my side where you think, hey, it's okay and it's actually not that bad? And be sure to follow me on all of my social medias. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Links will be in the description and at the end of the video. And be sure to check back every single Friday to my Instagram page for Fan Vote Friday. Do not forget to check back next Tuesday for the beginning of a new super series. This whole October, there's not going to be one fluent super series. We're going to be covering the first movie of 4 different horror franchises, iconic horror franchises. Throughout all of October, guys, we're going into a whole full-blown horror and Halloween themed month. So get excited, guys, get hyped, because I know that I am. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And that's a wrap.